Temple's Exotica album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from Temple's UK-based psych rock band. They've been at it for a few years, and oh boy, I have had a very rough relationship with the band, to say the very least. I have not been very positive on their albums, and it's been this way since their debut album, Sun Structures. This thing, when it came out, was my absolute nightmare. Listen, we are living in a time where so many sounds of psychedelic rock and neo-psych are doing really, really, really well. They're seemingly everywhere, whether it be your Tame Impalas or bands like, I don't know, Foxygen, or like super early Black Keys, or garage psych and garage rock, scuzzy underground. There is just so much that is going right now in modern psych. Even your King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. But this album to me seemed like such a phone-in. This album to me was like the equivalent of being someone who only listens to bands like the Beatles and classic Birds and stuff like that, and kind of wanted to take the tiniest baby step out of their comfort zone, and that's what you get on this debut Temples album, and it's not pretty. I mean, their 2017 album Volcano, it's a little better, I guess. I mean, the production was certainly better, but outside of that, this album just frustrated me. And like, how badly can one band want to be Tame Impala? Like, it's ridiculous. Now, the last time we heard from them in 2019 with the Hot Motion album, very clearly nothing had changed with the band. Now, I will say this, while overall I was not a fan of the album, not even close, I did think the songwriting had improved, at least. As a matter of fact, I did enjoy The Howl and You're Either On Something. Outside of that, though, it was certainly business as usual, and I don't even know why I decided to review this album here. Maybe it's my morbid curiosity, but I have to let you guys know, not much has changed. Gamma Rays, since it dropped as a single, it's been haunting me. I mean, there is nothing to this. There is absolutely no heart in this whatsoever. This sounds like just any kind of modern psych rock just thrown together with no heart, no soul. I mean, I couldn't tell you the first thing about it, and this was a single. Which leads me to this album's title track, Exotico. I'm not a happy camper. We're 3 tracks in, and I'm frustrated. It continues to be some of the most soulless psychedelic rock I've heard over the last few years. This is literally elevator music for people who think they like psychedelic rock. It's brainless stuff that was thrown together with no care. Sultry Air is just such an unnecessary interlude that adds absolutely nothing, and Cicada is their attempt to put a little pep in their step and a little oomph in their music, and the result is just infuriating. This riff is one of the lightest and not interesting riffs you're going to hear in any kind of rock music all year. I think my biggest issue with this track is just how entry level it is. This is like the slightest psychedelic rock aesthetic that you've ever seen, but there's nothing going on underneath. It's rough, and by the way, once again, this was a single. And the bouncy, upbeat riff on Oval Stones is going to be the death of me. There's actually some decent material on this album. We're gonna get to that, but this is not it. It's so painful. It's way too light and fluffy, and this is just barely scratching the surface of what is psychedelic rock. It might sound a little far out and weird and even trippy, but there's no substance. Now, let's chat about this album as a whole. This is not my kind of album. This is a very infuriating album that just put me in a really crappy mood listening to it, but I will give credit where it's due, and I will salute what needs to be saluted. There are probably 5 or 6 of the best tracks that Temples may have ever put out on this album. Liquid Air, that starts off this album, it actually gave me a lot of hope. This riff, this thing is gnarly and beefy. It's got some substance to it. And listen, I'm looking at a 6-minute runtime, but this thing actually kept up with it. It's got a really cool aesthetic, it's got a great atmosphere, and it's just catchy enough to stick with you. Listen, I'm gonna say something that I really haven't been able to say from Temples in the past. There's some real heart to this track, and I do like it a lot. Yeah, you can argue that they want to be Tame Impala like so much, it's kind of horrifying. But as far as a Temples track, this actually makes me want to listen to more of this album. Shockingly so, the middle portion of this album is actually pretty fruitful. Like Slow Days, for example. This track caught me really off guard. It's really, really good. It actually brings in a lot of dream pop influence. You could argue this sounds like a Real Estate track. But I love that. It's breezy, it's sunny, it makes me feel good. And it's over 5 minutes, but I'm sitting here with a big goofy smile on my face, and I really do like it. Crystal Hall actually has a really great riff to it as well. It's got some meat on its bones. It's really memorable. The hook is infectious. There's actually a really great hook on this track. It's very memorable. There's a little funk thrown in here as well. I can say that I don't remember the last time that I don't even remember hearing so much personality from the band. I don't know who hit the on switch all of a sudden, but I am just thrilled to be here. Even the very short Head in the Clouds interlude is really well done. It's very sweet on the ears, it's got elements of dream pop once again, and it's sunny and feel good. It actually does make this album more frustrating as a whole, though, because you could see that it's really not that hard. They just need to put a little bit more effort in. Giallo is really great, too. This brings in a healthy dose of mystery and mysticism that I did not expect to hear on this album. I love the playful synths and just how dreary this track is overall. This is a tune I didn't think they had in them. I mean, yeah, like I said, this album overall, it's gonna just get worse from, here on out. But honestly, I hear tracks like this and this whole middle portion of the album, and I worry that I'm being too harsh. And then I hear Inner Space, and those good vibes just come crashing down. The Substance all of a sudden has hit an all-time low. There is no heart in sight. It's way too fuzzy and sweet. And I don't know how the switch got switched so quickly. But all of a sudden they just sound like a who's who of modern alternative rock trying to be just a little edgy. And they fall flat on their face. This track, I think it's the worst one here. I do kind of like Meet Your Maker, though. I should really like the upbeat and, dare I say, intense grooves on this track. It's got some oomph to it. Temples really sound determined on this track. It's got that heart once again. It's not that hard. But this feels like an actual journey, and I love the extended use of the synths on this track. But then I hear Time is a Light, and how full of yourselves can you get? This track is pathetic. It's this pulsating, bouncy riff that does nothing for me. It's heady as shit and more annoying than anything. Bringing some uninspired vocals and one of the most phoned-in hooks on this entire project, and we're back to the bottom of the barrel. Fading Actor is so unbelievably clumsy. This track just starts up, sounds bulky and awkward as anything, and just doesn't go anywhere. It just plods along. It just plods along and does nothing for me. And the hook, once again, I feel like we're actually getting worse as this album goes on. But all of this crap to say, I still really love Afterlife. I'm gonna say it again, leading up to this album, hearing this as a single, it gave me some hope. It has some original ideas. It's got a really catchy hook. It's enough to keep me, invested for the moment. And then we have Moments of Time as a finale interlude. This last little blip of neo-psych and dreamy psychedelic rock. And it's just so unnecessary. I needed such a power nap after this album. This album is all over the place. You know what? If you dive in, you're gonna find 6 or 7 of the best tracks that Temples has ever put out. No trolling. There is nothing wrong with those tracks. There's a lot of very good material here with some serious heart to it, and I didn't expect to say that, but the rest of this album is emotionally draining. It is so unbearably heartless. There's no substance in sight, and it's just worship of their contemporaries. I don't know. This band just needs to really go back to square one. And it's a shame because the tracks that they bring themselves to, the heart on some of those tracks, the determination, when they really lock in, they could pump out some great tunes, but overall, this album is exhausting. I'm feeling a decent 4 on this thing, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.